Hi. All right. Thanks for being with us today. Most of you probably know me by now. I am Kirsten. I'm the Central America Program Director with Clark Catola Representation. And I'm really excited to be joined today by Luz Caceres, who's coming to us from her home in Turrialba on the Caribbean side of the Continental Divide in Costa Rica. And Luz is the co-owner of Lapa Rios Lodge, as well as Pacuare Lodge, along with her husband, Roberto, and daughter, Natalia. So thank you, Luz, for being with us today.
Thank you, Kirsten. Very happy to be with you.
Awesome. Yeah, and today we're going to talk about Lapa Rios on the wild Osa Peninsula on the southernmost point of Costa Rica on the Pacific side. Lapa Rios and the Osa is an absolutely magical place, and I just wanted to start. Actually, let me back up a second. So how this is going to work is I'm going to give an introduction to Lapa and the Osa. Luz is going to share a little bit about Pacuare Lodge, which is their other property. We're going to go take you on a walk through the property and logistics and the new rooms and suites. And that should take about 35 minutes. And then at the end, I want to give Luz time to share COVID protocols, opening dates, all of the news, and sort of really what makes Lapa Rios and Pacuare ideal for your post-COVID travelers. So all of your pertinent information is going to be at the end. I'd also like this to be more of a conversation. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature. It's not working for me right now, but towards the end, I'm going to minimize my screen, and then we'll save some time at the very end and go through your questions that way. So I'm sorry that I'm not able to see them live for some reason. I'm not sure why. But that's going to be our format, and thank you for joining us. And we'll try to take just about 50 minutes of your time. Okay, so the Osa Peninsula, rainforest meets pristine wild ocean, absolutely magical. And so I've worked in the travel industry and tourism for a little bit over a decade, and I was really lucky to work at a company called Wildland Adventures. They're an award-winning tour operator in Seattle, as their Latin America director. And many of you probably know their founder and owner, Kurt Katai. He's been a mentor to many in the industry. And he always said, his most favorite place on the planet was Lapa Rios. And this is an incredibly well-traveled man. He's been to every destination that people have on their wonder list or their bucket list. And when he said that to me, I was always like, really? Costa Rica? Like that's your favorite place on the planet out of everywhere. And he was really adamant about it. And finally, at the time I had not been to Lapa myself, but when I was able to go, I totally understood the magic of it, of being at this vantage point where you're right at the canopy level in the rainforest, and it's lush and green and vivid. There's wildlife everywhere, and you just have the most incredible views of the sunset, of this unbelievable blue water of the Gulf of Dulce. It's a really special place on this planet. And compared to other rainforest experiences that I've had in Peru's Tambopata or Manu, Napa Wildlife Center, the Brazilian Amazon, it just stands out as kind of being, I think, what people envision and hope for when they go to a rainforest in terms of the abundance of wildlife, the ideal temperature, the vivid colors, and the views. So I'm going to ask Luz quickly to take us through Pacuare Lodge, which is their other property that they own. This is Luz on the left, Roberto's in the center, and Natalia is on the right. And they purchased and became owners of Lapa Rios in June of last year, right?
Correct, June.
Great. Well, if you want to take us through Pacuare and tell us a little bit about this special property, which is definitely, it's one of the coolest adventure experiences, not just in Costa Rica, but you can really have anywhere on the planet, since your entry and departure from the lodge is on a world-class, absolutely stunning whitewater rafting trip. So Luz, take it away.
Thank you, Kirsten. I couldn't describe in a better way what Lapa Rios means, and it's such a magical place. So I'll show you a little bit very briefly about Pacuare. As you mentioned, this is a family business. We're very fortunate to be together in this adventure. And well, the adventure began 30 years ago when Roberto, my husband, he's you know, he loves adventure, and he fell in love with the Pacuare River. As you can see, it's a stunning river that goes through gorges and rainforests and a waterfall. So it's really pristine and beautiful. So that happened 30 years ago. He used to be a river guide, and then he discovered this beautiful spot and decided to start a, you know, it was a camping. We used to do camping in the property, and it was very small. So along the years, we decided to buy more land for conservation, and we came up with the idea to obviously go high end. Our vision was to develop a lodge that it was not only luxurious, but it was very committed with sustainability. And before, we had a lot of problems with poaching in the area. So we were very fortunate to have the possibility to start buying land. And what I can say about Pacuare, like Kirsten said, one of the highlights is that you arrive and depart the lodge by whitewater rafting. It's a very unique way to check in into a hotel. So the arrival experience is just magical. Again, some of the highlights that I can also mention is that we include 9 different on-site experiences that goes from adventure to culture and nature. Our border is, our neighbors are the Cavecar indigenous community. So our guests can hike for about 2.5 hours and have a very, very nice encounter in a very authentic way with this community. So from hikes to zip lining and canyoning and whitewater rafting, we have amazing also wellness with a beautiful spa. Our staff is all local. And again, we are Costa Ricans, and the 3 of us, we were born and raised in Turrialba, which is about 1 hour away from the lodge. Some of our units, all of them are very private and secluded. Some of them have hanging bridges. Half of our villas have private spring-fed pools, beautiful decks facing the river, and also with a very close encounter with the rainforest. And so, as you can see, you know, the design is very organic. We use materials made by the Cavecar indigenous people. So everything that was brought into their rooms are made specifically for Pacuare with local artisans and people that are very talented. We have an amazing swimming pool that we just finished last year. It's infinity to the river. So this is something we added. It was our major construction at the lodge, because we have to bring everything by raft, or we have to also, we can access the lodge by 4x4, but still we have to cross the river in a gondola. So it's a major challenge to build at Pacuare. So we are very proud of this swimming pool that you're seeing. So, you know, basically what we combine at Pacuare is a fantastic experience that guests can combine adventure, culture, and also nature. So it's a very complete destination, and obviously it combines perfectly with Lapa Rios, which Kirsten will talk to you about what you can do at Lapa Rios and how we can combine it with Pacuare.
Thank you, Luz. Yeah, I think Pacuare Lodge, what it invites you to do is rethink what a rainforest experience can be. I mean, that one suite that we saw the picture of with the plunge pool, that's their canopy villa. You have your own suspension bridge out to a little porch suspended from this high tree in the rainforest. You have a bird's eye view of the river. You can have breakfast up there. It's really incredible. And in 1 week for your clients, you can combine both Pacuare and Lapa Rios. I think a key selling point moving forward, looking ahead post-COVID, is how can guests do things privately? How can we minimize contact points? And one really nice option is to do a private trip to Pacuare and the Lapa Rios. I think, what, do you need 4 people to do private rafting, Luz? Is that correct?
Yes, the idea is obviously to do more private services for the guests, so they feel more comfortable. If you have a family, we will pick them up in one of our private vehicles in San Jose and take them all the way to Pacuare, and also put a private raft for them, so that they can feel comfortable, and that we're handling the protocols in the best way we can. So yes, we're trying to do things in more privately for the guests.
Another nice thing about Costa Rica is with, I think, 5 people, you are chartering planes is actually fairly affordable. So with 5 guests, you can easily do a private trip to Pacuare with your own rafting group of just your family and friends, stay at the lodge, have all privately guided services, depart privately on your own schedule, so you're not bound by the set flight departures on the timing on SANSA. You can return to San Jose at your leisure and then charter a flight from the airport at San Jose down to Puerto Jimenez. So you're not bound by schedules or using, even if you do fly commercially in Costa Rica, you're really only with 12 or 16 other people on the Cessnas that they use. But logistically, go ahead.
Just let me add just something regarding the charters. It's actually it's easier because you don't have to go back to San Jose in order to take the planes. There's an airstrip that is very close to the takeout place in Siquirres, where we end up the rafting trip. It's only 15 minutes away. So then you can take a charter from them and fly directly to Puerto Jimenez. So that's it's the best way to do it in order to save time and be more comfortable.
Yeah, so you don't even have to go back to San Jose, and then you can easily spend the duration of your trip maximizing your experiences, doing 2 or 3 nights at Pacuare Lodge, and then spending 3 or 4 nights at Lapa Rios.
That's right.
So you can see here where Pacuare is and the Pacuare River. From San Jose, now we're going to go all the way down to the southern tip of the Osa and Lapa Rios. From San Jose to Puerto Jimenez, which is the airstrip closest to the southern Osa, that's about a 40-minute flight. It's beautiful and scenic. You're flying along the Pacific coast. You have the Talamanca Mountains that come down to the sea in southern Costa Rica, and it kind of looks a little bit like flying along the Nepali coast. So it's a beautiful, quick trip. And you arrive in what National Geographic calls the most biologically intense place on Earth. The Osa Peninsula is just a wild wonderland. It's home to 2.5% of the planet's biodiversity. But in addition, so you have all 4 species of monkeys. Luz saw them the other day. You have squirrel monkeys, spider monkeys, howler monkeys, and white-faced capuchin monkeys. Incredible birds. Lapa is actually the local slang name for scarlet macaws. So when the original owners saw the property back in the 90s, they saw just this river. They called it a river of scarlet macaws, kind of flying together in pairs through this little canyon that Lapa Rios looks over, and that's where the property got its name. Just absolutely incredible terrestrial wildlife. While the ocelot, which you see in the bottom left, is going to be a little bit trickier to see. I know that your night security people have caught pictures of ocelots walking right through Lapa Rios' dining room. But I could almost guarantee you're going to see sloths, squirrel monkeys, lapas, spider monkeys, just it's like the Galapagos. They're completely unafraid of people. They'll be scurrying along your balcony while you're having your coffee in the morning. You'll definitely see toucans while you're showering outside overhead. It's really incredible. So for families and children, that's really nice, because at a lot of rainforest lodges and rainforest experiences throughout Latin America, the wildlife is really hard to see. And so your like input versus reward isn't really there. And that's not the case with Lapa Rios. And then the fellow we have in the bottom right, that's a tapir. You're going to see these in Corcovado National Park, probably not on Lapa Rios' property, which is 1,000 acres of protected primary and secondary rainforest. But these fellows are very frequently seen in Corcovado National Park, which can be accessed via a very short boat trip from Lapa Rios now, which we'll touch upon later. But in addition to all of the terrestrial and avian fauna that you'll see, Lapa Rios and this part of the Osa also sits overlooking one of the only tropical fjords in the world, the Golfo Dulce, So this area is incredibly rich in marine life. So you have water and sea, surf and turf, if you will, right there. Humpback whales are giving birth to their young and raising their young in the waters July through late October, early November. You have a number of different sea turtles that use the beaches of the Osa as repeated nesting grounds. That's actually my hand in the top left. That was on a fam trip that I led 2 years ago. And we got to participate in measuring and releasing olive ridley turtles with a local NGO that Lapa Rios partners with. You have these pods of megapods of dolphins, rays, sharks, just amazing marine life. So there's a really great variety of what you can do from Lapa Rios and from the Osa Peninsula that draws people there. So if you've previously sold Costa Rica as like Papagayo and Arenal, please rethink that. I think the true magic of Costa Rica lies when you grow south. But if you're familiar with the Osa Peninsula, you know that there's there's a handful of other properties on the southern Osa that we could say are, friendly competitors with Lapa Rios. But Lapa has a few key selling points, I think, that, in addition to the luxury rooms and villas and service, which is unparalleled, some physical attributes that really set it apart. The first thing is that all of the suites and villas are at canopy level. So unlike other rainforest experiences that I've mentioned in Latin America, you already have the vantage point of a sloth or a toucan. And so you're sitting on your balcony watching the sunrise, and you just have an unobstructed view of the sunshine. You're not on a dark lower floor, so you'll see a lot right from your balcony. So while to maximize the experience at Lapa Rios, you want to be able to go on a 3 to 5 mile hike and go out with the guides, you can still enjoy a lot seated right in your beautiful room. The second amazing part of this, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull up a video I have on my phone so you can have the sound here. But because you're at canopy level, every single room, every public space at Lapa Rios has an ocean view. And this is the sunset over the Golfo Dulce. This is a time lapse that Natalia sent me. I think this was taken in December. And I'm just going to play a quick video on my phone that has the sound of what I'd like to call the dawn chorus at Lapa Rios. Hope you can hear that. You hear the howler monkeys rolling, and then the birds start, and your coffee's delivered at, starting at 6 a.m. So it's the most magical, I think, alarm clock on the planet, and a perfect way to wake up. Lapa Rios is, they have 1,000 acres of primary and secondary rainforest that they protect. And what this does is this forms a wildlife corridor with Corcovado National Park and other areas of the Osa. Costa Rica itself is heavily protected. I think 25% of the country is preserved as national parks or preserves. But this gives you access to just such a pristine and natural environment, and you can explore it in so many different ways. Guided hikes to refreshing waterfall holes that you can jump right into. There's mangroves in this part of the country that you can go and explore via kayak. There's stand-up paddleboarding. And then you have the amazing beaches that Lapa Rios, the property line runs almost right down to the beach. It's a 15-minute walk from some of the bungalows to get to these beaches, which are completely uncrowded, completely wild. Or new as of this year, Lapa's been offering a van and shuttle service to their guests to take them down. They'll set up beach chairs, send you down with a little picnic, so you have your totally Robinson Crusoe deserted beach experience down on the Osa. And this is also one of the very best places, in my humble opinion, in Costa Rica to surf. And that's because you have 3 incredible point breaks that are coming off the southern end of the Osa Peninsula. Down in the bottom left, this is Playa Pendulce. This is the beach that most people, you have the most direct access to from Lapa Rios. You can see the waves are really, they're about knee high. They're really easy to catch on a surfboard. It's also a great place to swim and play in the sand, so wonderful for families. Lapa Rios works with a wonderful local fellow by the name of Pollo, who runs a surf school there. It's so fun to surf here. Point breaks are just so much nicer than beach breaks. So when you go, you have to, no matter your skill level, everybody will get up and ride a wave here. And there's probably going to be dolphins in the water and macaws flying overhead, and it's truly just a magical experience. If you're like Clark, who all of you know is a very good surfer, you might go to the beach at the top, which is, I think, Backwash Beach, which is sort of your next step up. There's also paddleboarding available that they can set you up with. Another selling point is the truly exceptional local naturalist guides that Lapa Rios has. There's 4 guides. Some of them have been with the lodge since it opened in the early 90s. And again, like Pacuare, this is a success story of using tourism to kind of change the minds of local people and have them see it as a very viable option for making a living. I think it's Edwin is on the left, and I believe his family, he came from, I have a chat here, I'm sorry, that's not working right now. His family was either involved in ranching, and his father was a hunter, because a lot of the Osa has been converted to pasture land, and you'll see that on your drive that I'll get to in a moment. When you leave Puerto Jimenez, you're kind of going through ranching areas. But a lot of the guides at Lapa Rios worked in different extractive industries, because that's all that there was to make a living on the Osa. And then studied and learned English and converted to tourism. And the man on the left, Denio, he's been with, both of these fellows have been with Lapa Rios for more than 20 years. And Denio actually started a guide school at Lapa to give local kids from Puerto Jimenez, local high schoolers, the opportunity to intern and learn all of the skills, start developing the skills they need to be naturalist guides. It's been a really successful program. One of the guides at Lapa now, Jeffrey, who's so sweet, is a graduate of that program. So those are kind of, I think, the key physical attributes of Lapa Rios as a property that give it the upper hand in terms of position. Since you're up on this ridge, you have the views, you have the guides, it's absolutely amazing. But to dial back to just, revisiting logistics, you can fly into Golfito, and then you would take a boat across Golfo Dulce to Lapa Rios. That can be a nice option, especially if you're combining, Costa Rica with Panama. You would cross the border from Panama, come into Golfito, board the boat here, cross Golfo Dulce, and then arrive at Lapa Rios that way. Most people are going to fly into Puerto Jimenez, and then from there to the property, it's about a 40-minute drive. I have to credit Travel Pioneers for this photo. I saw it on their Facebook page the other day, and I was like, oh, that's the road to the Osa. And so you leave Puerto Jimenez, which is a little fishing town, and you're driving through pasture land, and it's getting wilder and wilder. And I love these trees. These are called living fences. Ranchers plant them in place of fence posts, and they grow and they form a border. And there's great birding here. So as you get closer to the protected part of the Osa and the forest, the guides will often stop and point out like a family of tropical screech owls or different birds that you'll see on the way. And then you leave the pasture land, you enter the rainforest, you cross 3 little streams, and you arrive to the entryway to Lapa Rios. This is one of the new safari-style vehicles that they've upgraded all of their fleet to for excursions, so you have a really comfortable ride, and everyone has an excellent view from the back of the vehicles. And then you use like 4 runners or a 4-wheel drive, like luxury SUV, to do the transfers to and from Puerto Jimenez. Overview of the property. I'm going to take you on a quick walk through the public spaces, and then we're going to get to the rooms. It's, as you can see, it's on a ridge. So you're high up, you're getting the ocean breezes, you have the great views. And then 17 villas and suites are spread throughout this ridge, and then they go almost all the way down to the ocean. They're kind of hidden by the treetops here. But we'll start here, which is the main lodge. There's another aerial view, so you can see the lodge and swimming pool. And then these are all connected via a series of walkways and stairs, which in the future might be changed a little bit. But so main entryway, where you arrive and you're greeted and you're given refreshing towels and a cool drink, given an orientation of the property. The original lodge, which was built in the 90s, is this 2-story structure, this amazing spiral staircase in the center. And can you still go to the top, Luz, and look from the second story?
Yes, you can do that as well.
Nice. So that's a great area to go birding in the morning. You can go up there with your coffee if you're an early riser, or maybe you're going out on the early birding excursion, so you're up early regardless. As I said, it's built on a ridge, and then if you're looking towards the ocean, to the right of the property, there's sort of this ravine. It's like a gorge between this and the next ridge. And this area is where all of that wonderful sound, the bird calls and the howler monkeys, kind of echoes up through here in the morning. So no matter if you're having breakfast up here or you're just sitting and enjoying, you have amazing views from the canopy, at the canopy level in the treetops. One thing that Luz and Roberto and Natalia did is they changed the bar orientation at Lapa Rios. Previously, if you've sold this in the past, you might remember there was a kind of a tropical style bar in the far back corner. Didn't really take advantage of the views. One of their first projects, which they completed, I think prior to Christmas of this past year, was they built this wonderful new bar that faces the ocean with a great lounge space. So it really invites people to like hang out, linger, connect with the bartender, take in beautiful sunsets. They've expanded the options of where you can dine too. So if you have a private party, you can do open air dining with a special dinner. Again, always taking in those views. Another big change was they expanded the Wi-Fi. Previously, we joked about it. We called it a shame shack. There was one small area on the property that had Wi-Fi access. It was a hut. And so in the morning, there would be, like 10 people overloading the network, all trying to check their emails, sort of looking like they were doing something wrong. They have installed, fiber optic cable, and they've upgraded the network. And now you have Wi-Fi in the public spaces, all over the pool, restaurant, bar, and lounge. So there's a much wider area that you can spread out and enjoy. You can be laying poolside, enjoying a drink, checking your emails that way. It's just a lot more comfortable. And then they've upgraded and installed new terraces and walking paths to access a lot of the rooms. And there are 2 new categories of villas that were unveiled in December. And so I'll take you through these quickly. We did a webinar in January that was about a lot of these changes. But first are the Lapa villas. There are 4 of these, and these are going to be down closer to the beach. So they are outstanding for families. They have private plunge pools, and you have 2 separate rooms, one with a king bed and the other living room. It has a day bed, and they can also add another single bed. So I believe you can accommodate 2 adults and like 3 teenagers, or 5 people total in these rooms. But just incredible views at canopy level. Really nice and refreshing to have the option to like jump into your own plunge pool in between excursions. They worked again with the Quebecer community and integrated a lot of those beautiful handmade materials into the design at Lapa Rios. So this would be the bedroom. You can see in the shot in the bottom, the doorway that's separate, and then there's curtains that close off and separate that from the living room. Again, the huge decks with the private plunge pools. Absolutely gorgeous bathrooms, double sinks, and then there's an indoor shower and an outdoor shower as well. So lots of space, totally redone. These were newly built in December of 2019, and they've been really popular with families. So this would be like my first choice for going and staying. And then there's also Premier Villas. So these do not have a private plunge pool, but they're still very large. And what is unique about these are there are 2 side by side, and they're interconnected. If you can see my cursor on the left, there's a wall that separates the 2 balconies, and there's a doorway through this wall. So if you have 2 families traveling together or 2 groups of friends, these are really nice for a couple, because you can almost combine this into a private 2-bedroom unit where you have privacy, but you also have the ability to go back and forth and have drinks together on your terrace. The main difference here is that in addition to the lack of the plunge pool, these are a shared bedroom living room combo. It's a massive villa style room, but there's no separation. There's no doorway separating the master bedroom from the seating area. But these can accommodate 2 adults and I think 2 children. And Luz, if I'm misspeaking anything or mixing up my numbers, please jump in and correct me.
No, you're doing perfect.
Thanks. But again, just gorgeous, like light and airy. I can't see the chat, but I guarantee somebody's asking if there's air conditioning. And no, the rooms are not air conditioned. They are completely surrounded by almost invisible screening, but that allows these really cool breezes in. It's same as Pacuare. February is the hottest month, but you really don't need air conditioning here. You have wonderful breezes. They just upgraded these fans that do a phenomenal job. So the rooms themselves, because of the open air concept and how much airflow they have, are quite cool. At night, I wouldn't be surprised if you ended up needing to use a heavier blanket, because it does get cool in the evening, especially if it rains in the evening.
So that's good news. We will be in the next month placing an evening breeze in each of the villas. So it's not an air condition, but it's a system. It's like an air condition that goes like a canopy over the bed and refreshes the area of the bed. So this is going to be done probably next month, because they're already in Costa Rica. We imported them. So this is something good news for people that really want to have, it's not exactly an air condition, but it will feel like an air conditioner in the bed area.
Great. Yeah, those are awesome. If you've been to Morgan's Rock, they have them there in Nicaragua. They are a wonderful way, and they just use cool water, right, to create the sensation of having air conditioning over your bed. So that's great to know that those will be ready soon. More views of the outdoor showers. It's such a wonderful combination of this high design and really like luxury finishes, but then no separation with nature. Like the luxury here is your exposure to nature and how you're immersed in it. And I think that's critical to really enjoying this part of Costa Rica. And then there's the original bungalows, the deluxe bungalows. There's still 11 of these. They can have 1 king bed or 2 queen beds. These are the original structures from the 90s. They've been upgraded quite a bit by Luz and Roberto. They've repainted them. They've redone the bathrooms a little bit, but you still have in all the rooms, again, the beautiful view, indoor, outdoor showers, hammocks on the terrace, coffee delivery starting at like 6 a.m. or tea or however you take your morning beverage, so you can wake up with the sounds of nature in your room. And these ones I'd say would be good for travelers who maybe are wanting to spend their money more on the experience than having the luxury room, and they want to use the pool and the restaurant and patio there. Also, if you have small groups, if you're doing a small group type guided tour, Lapa Rios will often reserve these rooms for very small groups, but we don't handle large group tours. I think the max amount of guests that could come as a group is like 6 or 8 people together. Okay, and then this is the tariff seasonality. I don't want to get into numbers too much, but there's 3 different seasons, as in lots of Costa Rica, green, high, and festive. Prices are per person per night, but I think what is important here, and for you to notice, you're not comparing apples to apples if you're seeing a Lapa Rios rate and looking at something like El Romanzo. Lapa Rios is very inclusive. It is really like a rainforest safari. So your rates are 3 amazing a la carte meals per day, the morning coffee delivery, your round trip transfer from Puerto Jimenez to Lapa Rios, and then 10 different naturalist guided excursions to choose from. So you can easily spend 3 days at Lapa and just do what is included in your rate and never do the same thing twice. Additionally, they'll have like special ceviche making nights. There's tree planting. I'll go into some of these next. There's a great menu on their website that goes into details of all of the excursions, but from early morning bird watching to this, wild rivers and waterfall hikes. This is a really fun trip. Kind of you're getting wet, you're walking through this creek to these waterfalls and natural swimming holes you can go into. That's really fun for kids, kind of hopping from stone to stone. This is with a fam group again that I was with in 2018, I think. That was a lot of fun. We had such a great time at Lapa Rios. And then there's a lot of amazing family experiences here too. Lapa does have an age limit or suggestion of 6 and older. And I think that's simply because there isn't like a kids club or nanny services. Kids are expected to get out and join the guides who are excellent with them, but be able to walk a little bit and really experience the forest and the nature here. Two that are exceptional is this Pigs and Twigs tour, which is on the left. This is the behind the scenes sustainability tour that shows what does a remote eco lodge do with food waste. And in the case of Lapa Rios and this Pacuare as well, they use pigs to convert it to biogas. And here it's used for cooking in the staff housing. And then there's also tree planting you can do. The walks on the beach, the tide pooling walks are really fun for children. And then there's a number of off-site experiences with providers that Lapa Rios has vetted very, very carefully. If you want to go kayaking in the mangroves, zip lining, horseback riding, of course, the surfing that I mentioned earlier, stand-up paddleboarding, that's all possible. Most of these have a small additional cost to them. And then again, in season, Lapa can connect you with the local NGOs that do the citizen science where you're actually going, measuring the turtles, weighing them, and then helping them kind of escape to the ocean when they have a hatching. And that's what, March through, it varies because it's nature, you know, there's no guarantees here, but usually like April through October is when you'd have a better chance of being able to participate in one of the turtle hatchings. You'll notice that a lot of the natural phenomena that make this part of the world so incredible happen to occur during what we would call the green season, or the season with a little more rain and lower rates. So if you are a nature enthusiast, that is an amazing time to head there. So now I think I covered everything that's pertinent to the lodge. I'm going to invite Luz to talk about this next section of what's new. Lapa they've made a number of investments in wellness, dining, and sustainability, I think, that are really critical, and what people are looking for this elevated rainforest experience, and then also talk about COVID and what's next.
Sure. Thank you, Kirsten. It's very, very, thank you for describing the property in such a passionate way. Yes, well, first of all, when we decided to acquire Lapa Rios, we've been, searching for this property, a property in the Osa Peninsula for many years. And actually, we started like thinking about building something, but it's really, really hard to find the perfect spot in this area. So we were very fortunate to be able to acquire Lapa Rios. We thought that it would be a great combination with Pacuare because of all what you have seen, especially the wildlife and the ethos on conservation and sustainability. Once we purchased the property back in June 2019, we thought that we needed to upgrade the facilities and do some major changes in terms of energy. So the first step was, like Kirsten said, to build 6 new villas, and just to give the property another level and another option for guests that were looking for something more luxurious and more comfortable, especially for families or honeymooners. And that's what we completed in 6 months. Basically, we did those 6 new villas. And the second step was also to upgrade the gastronomy. So we partnered with a chef that is from Greece, and he is also works for one of the unique lodges of the world of Nat Geo. So he was helping us at Pacuare with to improve our gastronomy, and so we decided to bring him again to Lapa Rios and to train our team and design very, very unique dishes, not only beautiful to the eye, but also delicious and very fresh, using local ingredients. So I think we did a very good, it was a very good step for Lapa Rios. Another major concern for us was that Lapa Rios for many years was being run with a generator. So we thought it was the time to change that. So we invested in photovoltaic and also in water turbines in order to make Lapa Rios 100% energy that is sustainable, or that without using diesel, or with generators. So we finally started replace this type of energy recently. So nowadays is 100% clean energy. So we are very proud of that, because it was a big investment, but it was something that really needed to be done at Lapa Rios. Right now, we had plans for Lapa Rios, but we have to definitely, stop for a moment until the COVID crisis is over. But yes, one of the projects that we still have in mind is to do an access from the main lodge to the bungalows via golf carts, electric golf carts, in order to make it easier for the guests to access their bungalows and back and forth, and also for our staff. So, but this is going to be done in the future, but still, we have all the plans. Something very good was also that getting to Corcovado National Park, it would take a whole day, because you had to go to Puerto Jimenez, take one of the boats, which was not a fast boat, and coming back. So it will take you probably leave the lodge around 4 a.m. and you will be coming back at 5 p.m. So there was the possibility to hire this boat that you're seeing in the picture, which would be able to come to Pan Dulce, which is the nearest beach to Lapa Rios. It's just 15 minutes away from the lodge. And then you could disembark and embark in this point, and it will take only 1 hour all the way to Corcovado National Park. So it makes the trip much easier, and you will get back to the lodge around 2 o'clock, and so this was something that we also were able to do. So basically those are in general some of the, in just almost 1 year, because it's going to be now next month, it's going to be just 1 year since we bought the property. I think we have done a lot of improvements for the guest experience, and that were needed. Lapa Rios is, like Kirsten was saying, is such a magical place, and we're so happy to have it as a sister lodge for Pacuare Lodge, because combining both, you will have the real Costa Rica experience. What most people have in mind about when you talk about Costa Rica is, okay, it's about nature, adventure, conservation, sustainability, authentic people, the warmness of the Costa Ricans with its pura vida. So I think in overall I can say that it's the perfect match. And in terms of conservation, we also develop a program with a conservation fee, which means that every booking will include a fee of $25 for the full stay per person, in order to support the ambitious programs that we have in the area. Obviously, the company also supports these with funds, these programs. But if we wanted to go to the next level, we need to add the conservation fee in order to, for instance, place 220 trail cameras that will go from Corcovado National Park to Piedras Blancas and the private reserve of Lapa Rios, in order to monitor the wildlife that is in the area. And also we want to, we are currently supporting, paying 2 rangers for the park, because the park is understaffed, and there's a lot, there's the threat of poaching, and so we are supporting that by paying the rangers. So but if we want to go to the next level, we cannot do it ourselves, but we need to add this conservation fee. And we thought, when we thought about the effects of COVID. And we said, what are we going to do with the conservation fee? And we said, no, we are not going to eliminate this from our rates, because our ethos and our major concern, apart from being a business, it's conservation and supporting the local community. So we are going to keep this fee in place, and hopefully we will be able to develop these ambitious programs.
I'm going to send this slide out in particular as an attachment, because I think it's a great sales tool that you can use to share with clients to show exactly where their travel dollars are going to support these initiatives. And this is something that they've been doing at Pacuare for a while, specifically with a lot of the jaguar research going on in the area. And it's also been inspired by a lot of what Luz and Roberto have seen on their own travels to other Nat Geo unique lodge properties in Africa, which has a very long legacy of using tourism for conservation. So now, Luz, please share with us some of the good news, your thoughts on COVID, opening dates, all the stuff that everyone's very eager to hear.
Sure. Fortunately, so far, I would say always so far, because things can change, Costa Rica has, has handled the emergency in a positive way. Costa Rica, at the moment, there are no more, I wouldn't say there's no more than 15 people hospitalized, and a few of them, probably 4 or 3 people, are in more difficult conditions. But basically we have 10 casualties, and most of the population have been following, the protocols that the health ministry has been putting in place. So that being said, the government decided to open the economy slowly, but so far we've been almost 2 weeks that the economy started, moving. And in the case of hotels, they authorized the smaller hotels, 20 or less rooms, to open at its 50 capacity starting May 15th. And starting June 1st, they will be opening. If things go in a positive way, we will start opening hotels of larger capacity. So what we're doing in terms of opening for Lapa Rios, we're thinking to open on July 1st. The reason that we're not opening before that is because we're doing renovations to our kitchen. When we need this time to do that. And then in case of Pacuare, we're opening on June 4th. So it's going to be very soon. So we're very excited. Obviously, we understand that until the borders don't open, because we are opening borders, that's the plan, on June 15th. We will depend more on local and domestic travelers. But if somebody after June 15 wants to come to our lodges, we're going to be open and with open arms. So those are good news. And I think that the new traveler will be definitely looking for lodges with the concept that we have developed, with social distance, with more intimacy, seclusion, privacy. And also with looking for more contact and with nature and authenticity. So I think both lodges will provide a very real experience at redefining luxury, which is, for us, luxury is nature. And also our staff, which is local. It's at the moment, both locations are COVID-free. And obviously, we intend to take all the measures with the protocols. Kirsten will send you the protocols, a summary of the protocols that we have, done, put in place. And one of the good things that we decided is to hire an expert in sanitation, and in order to monitor that the protocols are being followed by our staff. And this will happen he will be visiting both lodges on a monthly basis in order to just make sure that we are in line with what the government is asking and the recommendations and our particular recommendations, because both lodges, you know, we're not a traditional hotel. We have particular challenges. So that's what we intend to do. But I think it's better if Kirsten sends you the complete document and you can go through it.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And I think the thing to keep in mind when you're, and many of you who have been to Lapa Rios or Pacuare know this, the ethos of these properties, their commitment to conservation, they're working with local communities, they're small by design. Lapa Rios is 17 villas. I think what Pacuare is 20.
20.
Their North Star and guiding principle has always been sort of these now popular talking points, is like, what is the next wave of popularity? Like, what travel themes are we going to see post-COVID? So keep that in mind, that these small properties have been doing things right for a really long time, and that if your travelers want a pristine, natural experiencing where social distancing happens naturally, where their travel is really benefiting the local communities that they're visiting, or conservation projects like Lapa and Pacuare, and really not to plug our larger collection of partners, but almost all of the properties we work with in Latin America have these principles baked into their ethos. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can look at the Q&A. I'm really sorry that I don't know why Zoom isn't working for me right now like this. Okay, but yes, okay. So if you have any questions, please use the chat or the Q&A feature. I'm so sorry I'm only getting to these now. I was not able to see them. I was not able to see them before. Okay. Okay, we have, and so I'm going to either answer these or direct these to Luz. If you need to jump off, I know we've gone almost an hour now. This is all being recorded, so we'll share with you later. Okay, from Guiomar, hello, on Pacuare Lodge's excursions. I was there last September and the excursions were with other guests in small groups. This changed. And is this changing now? And will they be all private due to COVID?
Yes, our policy is not to, the groups will be no larger than 8, but with COVID, we will be doing more private for the guests. We do have a large team of guides. We have almost 20 guides. So I think it's going to be manageable for us to run our excursions in a more private basis. So we will keep monitoring, obviously, in the future how things develop. But for the moment of the emergencies, you know, at least this year, we will intend to have them in a private basis.
Yes. Okay. And then, Guiomar, you asked a lot of questions. This is great. What months do you recommend going to Lapa Rios? I have my opinions. Luz, I'll let you take this one also if you like.
Well, basically, you know, it's normally guests will come between December and April, because it's, you know, the dry season in Costa Rica. But definitely the rainforest gets so active and so beautiful in the rainy season. And then you can see the whales, dolphins, and, you know, the wildlife is amazing. So I would also recommend the months of August. September could be a little bit rainy. It depends. It depends the year. But I would say all year round. It's a matter of, you know, if where else are you coming to Costa Rica? You know, where's the kind of itinerary that you want to propose to your clients. What do you think, Kirsten?
My favorite time to go is the green season, because everything, even if you're going up to the coastal dry forests like north of Manuel Antonio, everything is lush and beautiful. Wildlife is more active because they're feeding on the trees that are fruiting. I think the U.S. summer holidays, when school is in session, from like June through August is amazing. Anywhere on the Pacific, you'll have like maybe some rain showers in the afternoons, but then you get beautiful sunsets and it kind of cools everything down, and the rain is warm and tropical. And then I also really like November. As Luz said, probably September is going to be the rainiest month. But November, you hit this really sweet spot where you're at the end of the rainy season. It's season, you're transitioning into dry. You don't have the high season rates yet. So that can be a really great time to go for good value and really good weather in terms of sunshine. And then you're at the end of the rainy season, so everything's still very lush and green. But yeah, year round. Okay, is Lapa Rios involved in the guide school project? Yes, Lapa Rios 100% supports this guide school project. It was Danio's initiative, but Lapa Rios has backed him up and given him the resources and has encouraged its growth. Okay, and he just saw it on the website. Lori Gold, what activities are included at Lapa Rios? Lori, I'm gonna send all participants a list of all of the included excursions and activities in a detailed tour book. There are 10 different excursions offered on a daily basis that are guided, now moving towards private groups, ranging from your 6 a.m. early morning birding tours to night walks to medicinal plant walks to different hikes to go tide pooling at the beach. It's all primarily guided hiking excursions focused on wildlife, and you go to different areas of that 1,000-acre private nature reserve that Lapa Rios protects. But I'll send you the tour book that has these in greater detail, and then also outlines all of the additional activities that you can build in, like the surfing and the stand-up paddleboarding. Rachel Brown, our villa is air conditioned. We answered that no, but the ocean breeze beds are coming. Gail, happy birthday. I think it is your birthday today, so shout out to you. Our rooms and villas air conditioned? No. Okay, great slide. Julie Law, Pacuare Lodge. Is there a certain time of year that the river's water level is too high or too low for the rapid arrival and departure? That is a great question, and I will let Luz take that one.
Well, it happens about 3 times a year. Basically, it would be November, beginning of December. But the rest of the year, it tends to be really nice water. I would say between basically March and April tend to be the driest months, so the water level is quite low. But the rest of the year, it tends to be very beautiful and very nice level. So basically, I would say November could be canceled sometimes, the river trip.
Yeah. And then Gretel, my former colleague at Wildland. Hello, Gretel. She is a Tika. She's located in San Jose. Which part of the national park does the Corcovado boat disembark at? Serena? And it disembarks at Serena. So you have breakfast at 6 a.m. at Lapa and depart around 7 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, after breakfast.
Yeah, so it's much more civilized than getting up at 4.
Yes.
And then she loves the idea of flying from Siquieres to Puerto Jimenez, but isn't it too risky for the low green season when the weather can prevent people to fly? Isn't it better to fly from Lapa and then continue to Pacuare on a private land transfer or boat transfer? I think you can do it either way. And also bear in mind that we would suggest an early morning departure and then a private charter in the morning, as yes, afternoon flights can be canceled due to thunderstorms, but then Luz, if you'd like to speak more on that.
Yes, what we can do is we can do an earlier departure by raft from Pacuare. So you get to Siquieres around 11 o'clock, and then it's more probabilities to fly. Also, I forgot to mention that Pacuare is accessible by helicopter as well, so you can leave the lodge and and come to the lodge by helicopter as well.
There's no one right way to combine the two of them or combine them with anything else. It's really, sometimes it's a question of availability of what order you arrange the itinerary. For me, I like ending at Lapa because of the beach access.